And welcome back. I'm so thrilled that we get the opportunity every afternoon to talk good, to feel good, to create the mindset of winners. And today's guest is a doozy. My friend LarryLong Jr. is with us. I'll tell you a quick little story about him. I was traveling through Raleigh doing some work. Another friend of mine said, "You got to meet this guy." And I was like, wow, I'm really tight for schedule. But I went out of my way and I made a breakfast meeting with him. I said, look, I'm leaving. You're kind of early in the morning, but I'll meet you really early. He said, I'll do it. And this guy shows up and is just absolutely beaming with his smile, his energy. He's an awesome human being. He's about to get in the same space I am. So I'm happy to mentor him and do whatever. But welcome, LarryLong Jr. It's your chance to tell my audience something good.
Oh man, happy to be here. Thank you, Steve. I mean, something good. We're all alive. We have our health, and for me, my faith is good. My family is good. I'm feeling great, and just having fun every day. You got to have fun.
And you wear the best T-shirts. Like your T-shirt game is as good as anybody I know.
Love it, man. I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses.
So from that day that we met, we have remained friends. We've stayed in touch. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what you're involved in now, and how you're spreading the love that only LarryLong Jr. could do.
Oh, I appreciate it, Steve. So currently I'm Director of Collegiate Sales, company called Teamworks. We sell software to elite athletic teams. I'm on the college side, so we work with
like the Gators.
Yes, love working with them. And it's just awesome being able to empower and engage elite athletes, and for us, student athletes. I played baseball at University of Maryland, go Terps. And I know how difficult it is, the life of a student athlete. You've got so many different people that are pulling for your attention. And a lot of times the right hand doesn't know what the left foot is doing. So we really consolidate the communication through messaging, the calendar, files, forms. It's just awesome being able to combine my love. I'm a tech geek and I love sports. And now I get to intertwine both of those. In addition to it, that's my full-time job. I'm also an advisor to a company called RepView. And we help sales professionals get an under-the-cover view of sales organizations so that we can really make good matches and not have all these mismatches of sales professionals. There's so much churn in sales roles. So now I get to empower sales professionals. In addition to that, I'm also an investor, an angel investor, being able to support entrepreneurs. I've been fortunate and blessed. I can now put my money where my mouth is. So I've been investing in companies, and then I'm launching a business, a professional speaking keynote, as well as sales training and coaching on the side, as if I didn't have enough balls that were juggling, but life is good.
You know, it's funny when you bring that up. In my early days of managing sales teams, the minute I got a hint that somebody had a side hustle, I'd shut it down in like 2 seconds. Now, if somebody doesn't have at least 2 or 3 side hustles, they're lazy.
Every day we're hustling. And essentially my goal, if you look at the theme, I just enjoy helping people. Both of my parents, I grew up in the VA hospital system, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Danville, Illinois, Grand Island, Nebraska, Coatesville, Pennsylvania. And they pretty much, at a young age, they voluntold me. They pretty much said I had to volunteer. And then it came to a point where I made the decision that I love helping people. I know in your book, you talk about having an attitude of gratitude. When you're able to invest in other people and help them get to where they want to get to, it's just something that's good for the soul, and just good people. That's what they're all about, is helping others. And it's really, when you think about it, in sales and in this 4-letter word we call life, it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about other people. What can you do to serve others and help others that really makes things go?
You know what's so cool is that I remember meeting you, and at that time you didn't have your life nearly as together as it is today. So I mean, it must have been 7 years ago, maybe longer, you know, and you were the same guy regardless of what was happening in your life. Like, I've watched your career and you've grown it, and people are really attracted to you, and everybody I know that knows you loves you, which is a really testament to your spirit and all like that. But, you talk about so many cool things, but you had faith, which I love, which is without faith, you really, we're all lost. But you also are a product of the work, the discipline. And that's when you talk about teamworks and some of the other things that you're involved in, they all have a theme of there's a system, there's a process. So I want you to talk about your process, because when I met you, you weren't the same guy, but you are the same guy. You know what I mean?
Definitely. It's been an evolution. And I mean, my journey, I've had a failed business, had an indoor baseball, softball academy that brought me to Raleighwood. And that was a great learning. I've worked for 8 different tech companies since then, which
Wow.
I'm always learning. You have to learn through the good, and you learn the most through the bad. But in terms of having a process, really, it comes down to being organized. I know you talk about time management. And essentially, if you don't manage your time will manage you. And that's not a
Easily.
good thing. Being intentional about what goals, where do you want to go, but also intentional about what path are you going to take to get there? How do you get there is so important. And that's really, I've learned through the years. You can't tell, but I've got some gray hairs popping up. I'm getting older and wiser, is that that intentionality and writing down what your goals are. I mean, I don't leave home without my notepad. I'm always taking notes. I'm always learning. I'm always going back to the basics. That's right. That's right. Great minds think alike. I knew you were my brother from another mother. But
There's no doubt. There is no doubt.
Just being intentional. I mean, I grew up playing sports, and baseball was my thing, and taking 100 swings every day. That work ethic and that process has translated into the business world, and having success in business is very similar to having success in sports. There's so many parallels, and you've got to have a process. You've got to have the discipline. You've got to be able to execute. Everyone's got a plan. That great philosopher said, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the nose. And then it's like, right. Oh, where do I go from here?
Now what? Yeah. I mean, it's so true that even for me, and I write about it in my book, that the best lessons, the biggest lesson I ever got was from my biggest failure. And so I embrace that failure. And people look at me and they go, you're not thinking clearly, are you? I go, no. I look for those failures because every time it's catapulted my career. So when you talk about, hey, you've been in 8 businesses, you took learnings and stuff away from all of those. Like, you don't want to touch that iron again. I'm not going to do it. And so I don't think, there's no straight line to success. It's just a matter of, investing yourself in that process. I know a lot of people who have a process and are more, they think more about the process than about actually what the process is, what they're doing within that. It's like, what? No, dude, this isn't, you don't just do the reps to do the reps. You got to, sort of invest in the time and effort. So I want to steer the conversation to the sports analogy that you brought up. Yeah. You recently were on my son's show. So social media put you and my son together, which is a mind-blowing experience, man. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? How was that? What'd you talk about with him? All that kind of stuff.
It was awesome. And at Teamworks, I work with a bunch of athletes, which I love. There's just that mentality, the mindset, that internal, I call it that internal drive and desire to always continue to improve. And it's a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And we've been around those that have a fixed mindset, those that have it all figured out. And that's not fun to be around. I want to learn from folks, and talking with your son, I can tell you the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, which is a blessing. You can definitely tell that you did an excellent job, and just being able to chop it up and talk to him was awesome. And we're always living, we're always learning. And one thing I learned from that meeting when you and I first met, you talked about relationships, and this has stuck with me. The difference between contacts and contracts is the letter R. And you said real relationships. And you said, Larry, it's not about what you know. And it's not even about who you know. It's about who knows you and who trusts you and who believes in you. And I'll never forget that. That's timeless. And I just got to say thank you. I tip my virtual cap to you, Steve, because that stuck with me. And through those 8 stops, and I've had stops before that, but I've learned that those relationships they mean so much. And if you're genuine and people believe in you, they trust you, they've had great experiences with you, it really makes things happen. So thank you for that.
It's my pleasure. So, it's interesting because, I was happy to share my knowledge with you. It stuck with you. You used it. And one of my things about content is that if you share something with somebody and they really get it, if they share it with somebody else within the next 24 hours, they own it. It becomes yours. I don't take ownership of that. People said to me, oh, I hear other people using your same stuff. And I go, great, fantastic. That means they got it. I don't take ownership of the thought. I use the thought for me. I'm willing to share it. And so for me to hear that you have, that was a long time ago, a breakfast meeting a long time ago. You never know who you're impacting, how you're impacting them. And it brings me to, what's the metric of success? And most salespeople are driven by, did I make the sale or not? And that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like, what? Like, think about the sales that you've made in your life versus all of the people you meet. It's a very small number. If that's your metric, you're missing out on I think the whole point of life. With you and me, if you called me, and we don't speak all the time, but we're in each other's worlds. If you called me and said, look, I got a problem, I'd be there to fix it in 2 seconds. And I think you do the same. That's why success happens to you. That's why people will want you to coach them, because you do it. You live it. I think the biggest misnomer is that, oh, I've learned how to do this now, I'm gonna just, no, I do it. You do it. So speak about, like, you posted something recently. I forget what it was, but it was so empowering. It blew up on social media, and it was like 3 things. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Recently, I've talked about mentors, the importance of having mentors.
Okay.
The other one that I talked about was really serving others, not being a me monster and really serving others.
A me monster. Thank you. A me monster. I love that one, man. So go into that, because that's a winner, man. That's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, in sales, there's a term, and this is my favorite radio station, WIIFM. I know you like music, but that radio station is what's in it for me? That's what people ask when you go to a party. People, they don't really care about you. They want to know, what can you do for me in a sales transaction? It's really making sure that you're centered on the other person, on the future customer, on the prospect. And so many times we turn inwards and it's about me, we, I, and that's so weak. No one cares. There's a saying, so what? Who cares? And if you can answer, so what, who cares, and what's in it for you, you're probably going to have success. Whereas if you're a me monster, no, I think Sweet Georgia Brown says it best. Ain't nobody got time for that.
I love it. It's the parallels between how you talk and what you say with what, my preachings and teachings are. My book was basically how I grew up in the sales business, and everybody was telling me, you got to cold call and you got to do this. And I go, that sounds ridiculous to me. I don't even know these people. Let me just go meet people at scale. So my philosophy, which mirrors what you just said, was give to get. So I would walk in, I go, what can I do for you? And people would go, like, who are you? I've never seen that kind of style before. What training is that? And I was like, no, legitimately, who do you want to meet? What do you want to know? What can I do for you? And especially now in this pandemic, the thing that is so relevant is that, and I use the Beatles song, Help. We're in a help economy, man. People need help. If you throw your hand out and say, I'm willing to help, man, the universe sends it back to you in a boomerang beyond imagination. So speak to that a little bit, if you would.
So Steve, you're spot on. And I heard it recently, a gentleman, Josh Braun, he's a sales trainer. He calls it making deposits. You can't go to the bank and make a withdrawal if you've never made a deposit. And it's very similar with relationships. If I don't give you something and all I do is ask, give me. No, the well is dry and it's going to run dry. So essentially, if I stay focused on what can I give you, what's important to you, where do you want to go, and I can help you to get there with nothing expected in return, it's amazing how things work out where it's a win-win situation when you stay focused on someone else's needs, focus on someone else's wants, their challenges, their desires.
So good. Wow.
It's magical. And so many times people, and I'll say just people in general, they want that magic, the silver bullet, the magic dust, and there is no magic. I think you call it success leaves clues. There's the hard work. I think there's the iceberg of success where people see your success, but they don't see under the water all of the sacrifice, all of the hard work, all of the grit, the blood, sweat, and tears that it took to get you to be successful. And my daughter is just wrapping up kindergarten. She graduates on Friday.
Wow.
And it's amazing that the basics that they're learning, please, thank you, being considerate, are the very basics of life and of success. You got to work hard. You got to play nicely with others. You've got to write down your goals and take notes. And these are so simple, but so few people actually execute on it. And I call it, we know what we're supposed to do, but so many people don't actually do it.
We just get further and further away from it. I mean, one of the cool things, and I love that kindergarten analogy that I've used, is that somewhere along the line, people forgot to ask permission. Like, Larry, do I have permission to talk to you about your business or your finances or whatever? Wham! They just zoom right in and just go, hey, I want to talk to you about what I got to sell. I mean, and these rules have totally been pushed aside when it comes to social media. People have no etiquette at all. Yep. I believe I have the best product in the world and it's great for you. You don't even know me, man. You spelled my name wrong. Well, just,
Steve, the analogy I use is like going to a doctor and the doctor saying, hey, Larry, I'm the best left ankle surgeon in the world. We're going to get you in surgery tomorrow. Hey, doc, you didn't even ask me. It's my right shoulder. It's not my ankle, dude. You didn't ask me any questions. You have no idea. You gave me the prescription, but you haven't even asked me any questions about what my pain is.
So I'll bring this home. I've always been a fan of people by people. If you're a good person, you put good stuff out there. You are the brand, not Teamworks, not any Rep View, not any of the ones that you've been involved in. It ultimately comes down to you, and people are afraid of that responsibility. They'd rather blame the logo on the door. Oh, there's the virus and people aren't buying our stuff or whatever. That's a complete crock of shit, man. Yeah. If you get in front of enough people that care, they will put you in the right position. So give us some parting words, because I could talk to you all day long. This is not something good. This has been something great. Your smile is infectious. You are the brand. Take us home, LarryLong Jr.
Yeah, well, my favorite quote, it comes from Henry Ford. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right. And when I think about the mindset, and I'm working with my reps about this, we are in a pandemic. It's unprecedented. However, it's our responsibility to find a way. And if we don't believe that we can find a way to add value and help people, then we're in the wrong business. It's time to hang them up and retire. So I encourage all your viewers that are looking for something good, start with the mindset. That belief in your heart, that belief in your mind, it comes out of your mouth and it comes through in your actions. What you do each and every day, those habits, make it happen. Only you can make it happen, and use all your available resources, but it comes down to that person in the mirror in order to execute and get it done.
Well, whoever your clients are in whatever business they are, truly going to be blessed to spend quality time for you. I am always here for you. All you got to ask, I am willing to help you with any one of those businesses. You're a special human being. Thank you for spending your time sharing something good. And I know that you will stay on the ball.
That's right. Thank you, Steve, and keep doing the great work that you're doing. I'm truly privileged and blessed to have you in my life.
Peace, brother.
Peace.
Be back.